Hey guys, it's Milji. Welcome back to my channel. It's been forever since I've done a bullet journal plan review video. Honestly, I haven't touched it since last year when the Panera bread hit the oven. And for this month's theme is none other than Sailor Moon, in honor of the upcoming Sailor Moon Eternal review movie coming to Netflix this week. Instead of doing a voiceover of what I drew and watercolor, I'm including a ranking part of what I think are the best and worst series/seasons of Sailor Moon, who my favorite Sailor Senshi, Scout, Guardian is, and of course the ultimate debate of Seiya or Darien. Before I do start, I do want to show my last year bullet journal spreads. Definitely check this video out. It isn't going to include a TED Talk, but does include how I compositioned everything, as well as a complete moods and habit tracker and all that good stuff. Without further ado, let's get to bullet journaling. I still can't believe Serena, or Usagi, though given I originally watched this dubbed on TV, I'm just sticking with the English names. But anyway, I still can't believe Serena was a 14-year-old crybaby reincarnation of a magical superhero that fights evil by moonlight and winning love by daylight. You guys know the lyrics. But my goodness, I binged those series when I was a kid and I couldn't get enough of it. The reason I got hooked was the super cute outfits. I've had my fair share of cosplaying Sailor Moon and buying Sailor Scouts merch. To be honest, I don't really like the newest outfit of Sailor Moon, aka the colorful skirt and random pink poofy sleeves. As much as I love the OG Sailor Moon outfit, I really love the Sailor Moon Super S outfit because of the different colorway of the skirt and transparent sleeves. I don't know why they had to change up her classic red bow and red boots, but alas, I wanted to give it a try by making my bullet journal theme cover with her latest trendy fit. Sailor Moon was the first time I had seen a superhero team kicking booty and taking names that was a group of Goyles. Of course, I needed to capture them in a spread, so I chose the monthly spread. Wasn't able to have them all fit within the page, but out of all the Sailor Scouts, my favorite was, hands down, Lita, Sailor Jupiter. Even though I'm a Virgo and should connect more with Amy because she's organized and a brainiac, I was always gravitated to Lita. I remember being super excited on getting my first Sailor Moon action figure. I hope it's still in the basement storage of my parents' house. But anyway, when I first started watching, I instantly loved Lita and how she was such a tough girl with a heart of gold. Plus, her colorway of pink and green is so good. Everyone else has their own distinguished color, but I love the fact that Jupiter has two. Plus, none of the Sailor Scouts can stand up to Jupiter's lightning powers. She has a freaking lightning rod that extends from her tiara to channel the lightning through. She's a human form of a Pikachu. She's tough, strong, and independent, but she's also very sensitive and emotionally vulnerable. I like that those seemingly contradictory aspects of her character balance effortlessly, aka everyone else is defined by one thing, but Jupiter is defined by a lot of things. The next spread is my habits and mood tracker, and I loved how they turned out, even though they were both simple layouts. This time I'll be ranking the chronological series or seasons in a best to worst tier ranking via the Tier Maker website. To start off, we have the classic season 1. I would rank this to be the middle, more so to be neutral, because this is the birth of the Sailor Guardians. Obviously, their interactions made the series an international hit. The series is outrageously funny due to Serena's immaturity and personality. Classic Sailor Moon is best when seen in the context of its release, a girl's cartoon meant for one episode each morning. But it is a fun season to rewatch for nostalgia and funny yet cringy jokes at the time. Next is Sailor Moon R, and I would rank this under Sailor Moon just because they have two independent arcs. The first arc of the Doom Tree arc I found uninteresting but funny with the not so sibling love interest rivalry. However, the story arc felt so much like a filler for the second story arc to come, which was The Saving Grace. It was really entertaining because of the fight of the Wise Men and the Dead Moon clan. I also liked how the show showed that enemies can be understood if given a chance and that no one is truly evil. But man, Chibiusa's Black Lady story arc was super twisted and she was a real baddie. Next is Sailor Moon S. There are mixed feelings about this season, but I personally rank this the first because it's the most intense season where they introduce all of the outer senshi, a new story that kept viewers on their toes. One of the key highlights of the S series is that it spends time developing the lead characters. The Heart Snatchers were an interesting group of villains compared to the villains of other seasons. It made the story feature a darker and more mature story arc and feels slightly more grounded since there's a human master villain who's behind everything pulling the strings. Trying to understand Sailor Saturn and Hotaru act as two different beings sharing a body was entertaining and wanting to learn more. Next up is Sailor Moon Super S. I would rank this the lowest of the low because I honestly was not a fan of Chibiusa's horse buckaroo of a boyfriend. I prefer her and Peru from Black Dream Hole movie arc. I get that the focus on a younger member of the Sailor Guardians also meant the storyline itself took a similar turn to a different demographic. Next is Sailor Moon Sailor Stars. I honestly didn't grow up with this season since it was never dubbed, but I did just recently watch it and boy oh boy, this is such a good season. I would rank this the second highest. It's more on the mature side like S, lots of emotional highs, and they even introduced new Sailor Senshi that were based on planets/matter outside Princess Serenity's solar system. Also, Seiya though. I never understood the debate of Seiya versus Darien, and now I know why. The love interest triangle was the real deal in this one. I found that this was the most emotional season because of this, and I'll get that too in a bit. This was the vintage Sailor Moon season that really pushed the envelope as far as animation, drama, and high stakes, bring the show back to the more serious, mature path it had taken earlier. Since I am on the topic of the Sailor Stars arc, let's talk about this love triangle. We all know and love Serena and Darien and how they have this great love story. The two are literally destined to be together before they even met in the series, having been reincarnated from lovers who lived together a millennium ago in the Moon Kingdom. I grew up loving Serena and Darien despite knowing their oddly weird age difference of a middle schooler and a college student. After time, they softened up to each other, became friends, and grew attached to each other. But it makes me doubt, was it because of their destiny together that they stayed together? But when it comes to comparing Seiya to Darien, as both a character in general and as a love interest for Serena, Seiya comes out on top in my opinion. This is contrast to Seiya, who is much more involved and far more interesting as a character and has such a better personality. Also within Serena's age group, but because of this, they were able to see each other on the daily, go to activities together, and hang out with everyone in the group conveniently. Eventually, they both fell in love with each other without even realizing it. I have to be honest, even though I grew up being an ultimate fan of the reincarnated destined lovers, I would have leaned towards Seiya if I had known about this story arc at a young age. Even though my younger self wouldn't have grasped the idea of love over who's hotter than the other. Both relationships are so different, both guys are so different for Serena. Seiya's feelings for Serena weren't inherited, they weren't destined to be together. He falls for her on his own and he develops his interest at her at first sight, but he also falls for her over time and his feelings develop and he gets to know her. This makes his feelings so much more genuine. I am one of those people whose heart broke for Seiya when he asked that infamous question to Serena, am I not good enough? He wanted to stop Serena's heartache by filling up that emptiness she was feeling. He didn't want to replace Darien, but to replace her aching heart of being lonely. Serena, on the other hand, ultimately knew that she was abandoned at the time and couldn't fathom at replacing her one true love, and it it just felt wrong to her. Maybe he could have been great with Serena, maybe they're one of those couples who could have had it all. But don't get me wrong, I do love Darien, but Seiya makes me think otherwise. Let me know in the comments down below who you guys prefer, Darien or Seiya. Going back to the ranking tier list, last but not least, well, it actually is pretty least to my ranking books, Sailor Moon Crystal. I really genuinely wanted to like this, but after a couple episodes, I hopped on the same bandwagon of disliking it. One, because it wasn't what I grew up watching, but a version that tried to stay to its faithful adaptation of the original manga, rather than a remake of the previous anime. I repeat, this is not a remake. I did like how Crystal covered the first arcs of the manga, Dark Kingdom, Black Moon, and Infinity in such a short amount of time, even though the original Sailor Moon had its fillers, but they were arguable, what created some much needed pacing that Crystal lacked in. I get that Sailor Moon Crystal aims to more strictly follow the manga, but honestly, I never really followed the manga when I was a kid. I grew up watching these dubbed episodes on Cartoon Network or Toonami on the weekends. But Crystal was such a disappointment with such a rushed storyline. The character development felt short. The story suffered dramatically due to the lack of connection and bond between the characters. They appeared falsely close because there was really nothing to base their relationship on. The original anime has much more of a stronger grasp of its characters' personalities. Crystal focused way too much on Serena, while the Sailor Scouts weren't even given a chance to have any character development. They were essentially robbed of their chances of shining throughout the series. What was even more alarming was the animation style. It's like they took the shoujo look and made it its own caricature with huge watermelon heads and matching larger than your typical anime eyes. There were a lot of misaligned faces, misproportioned bodies, and just a lot of off-model everything. The 90s anime was not a pinnacle of high-grade animation either, but that doesn't excuse Crystal for its rushed animation, especially since it was made in the 21st century. Like I said, I really wanted to like this, but the only thing keeping me watching is the nostalgia. Overall, Sailor Moon Crystal is about a bratty kid who gets everything she wants without ever having to grow as a person. While Sailor Moon Classic, for all of its flaws, was a story about a funny, ditzy, clumsy girl with a heart of gold who made mistakes, got scared to fight, and had selfish moments about love, but had a capacity for great bravery and stood up to protect everyone and everything she loved, even though she was all alone and terrified at times. And I hope the third season, which is the upcoming new Eternal movie, redeems itself. I hope my terrible review on this series for the first and second season can go in the black dream hole. I want to give them another chance because Sailor Moon had the most influence on me and my love of anime. If I can sit through the first couple of seasons, I hope it's worth the watch as I look forward to the next couple of seasons in the future. And here are the final spreads for this month's theme of Sailor Moon. Thank you guys so much for watching and for listening to my TED Talk about Sailor Moon that nobody asked for. These are my opinions, and I know there are mixed feelings in other rankings. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree, disagree, what your rankings are, who your favorite scout is, and don't forget to subscribe, like, comment down below, and see you next video. Bye!